one forested publisher on the dark throne, in the land of awesome bros where the shadows lie, one sauropod to rule them all. So, welcome back. It's been a while. This is the second episode of this little podcast series. I hope it will reach many likes and comments and I don't know what I'm saying. Okay, yeah, I was gone for a while physically, and I made myself a little list to make all this rambling a little bit more structured. Let's start with the news. In case you haven't noticed, Troodon is no more. The original animal Troodon, the taxon is based on just one tooth, and that isn't diagnostic enough to really erect a new genus, especially because Troodon teeth are pretty much the same, as at least in North America. They are all very similar, so it's really hard to tell if the tooth which is named Troodon really belong to a own genus, or if it it's too messy, and so it isn't justified to longer keep this name. Instead, it was another genus was brought back from the dead, and that's Stenonychosaurus, interestingly enough, from the Dinosaur Park formation. Together with that, a new genus was erected, Latanivenatrix, the first giant troodontid we know. It's a beast maybe 5 meters long, so bam, that's a nice one. When you want to see how I imagine this animal, which is based on several specimens which have overlapping material, so you can see that they all belong to the same genus, just look at my last speed sketch, and I would recommend you to get the paper. Then we have 2, maybe 3 more gliding mammals, or not real mammals, but near mammals. So you might call them stem mammals, from China. The one is Myopatagium, and the other is Villevolodon. Both are pretty small animals, and interestingly, it shows how, on the one hand, diverse in general the mammal or near mammal fauna of the time and region already was, and it also shows how much mammals, I keep saying mammals, but they are not real mammals yet, how much these animals already experimented with flight on a gliding stage. Both seems to be mostly herbivores, and there is another specimen which isn't named yet, but most likely also represents a new genus. Interestingly, the paper also shows that Volaticotherium, which is another gliding mammal, seems to be rather ill-equipped to be a good glider. They made some analysis of the morphometrics of these specimens, and it shows that Volaticotherium falls into a group of animals that normally isn't well equipped to glide. So when we compare to modern animals, especially modern climbing rodents and gliding rodents and other stuff like that. Yeah. And there is Lemmissuchus, a Thalattosuchian from England. Once it was believed that it is a very large species of Steneosaurus. So it's a large crocodiliform. But how it turned out, this is actually a own genus, very close to Machimosuchus. And it was named after Lemmy from Motorhead, which is nice. And Mark Whitten did some very cool art for the paper. So yeah, I actually knew that this paper was coming because I was in Munich a few days ago at the EAVP meeting, a yearly conference of European vertebrate paleontologists and also some paleo artists. We are basically the smaller brother of the SVP, and yeah, it's some very exciting stuff was shown there, and it's always nice to meet the guys, and yeah, it's all a bit yeah, more like a family compared to the SVP, where yeah, it's sometimes really hard to speak with people because they are just swarmed or have no time, and it's much more stressful. I did it once, and yeah, but that's also cool, but different. Okay, yeah, there's much. Yeah, and Lemmissuchus was one of the beasts that were presented there, and it's nice to see that it's already out now. Yeah, we didn't know the name actually. It wasn't shown in the presentation in the talk, but there were some hints. Let's say it this way. It was fun. Yeah, something from me maybe. There will be soon 2 new genera of plesiosaur. Both will be illustrated by me. It's maybe for a paleo artist one of the greatest joys is to reconstruct a new species or genera for the first time, and I had really fun doing that, and you should soon see them in press, in the newspapers, online, or at my DeviantArt account and Facebook. Now let's move on to some questions from the time when I asked what questions, and from the last podcast. Lucky MA asked, what is your opinion on T-Rex attachment? I just put this question in here so I don't get asked again, because it's happening. Yeah, it happened quite a few times, and my answer to that is go into the description, click on a link I will put there, and it will take you to an article where I made some art for. It's an article of Earth Archives. It's very well written, and it reflects my opinion on that matter very well. So please do that. Don't bother me with more T-Rex stuff. It's a pain. Really. Don't do it. Please. I'm serious. Next question. Snuggles the Dinosaurs YouTube asked, I've got a question for the next podcast. What are some of your complaints about the paleo community on DeviantArt? I must say, I don't really have complaints about the paleo art community or the paleo in general community on DeviantArt. Sometimes, maybe it has to do because I'm often not actively engaged in some of the discussions there, but for the most part, I think it's DeviantArt is a very good sandbox to learn a little bit to how to discuss and how to argue, and some stuff is can be annoying, but on the other hand, I think, okay, not everyone there has my age or my level of maturity. Let's say it this way. So I try to remain as calm as possible, and fortunately I had so far not the problem of haters or something like that. Also not here on YouTube or on Facebook. Maybe because I normally try to get along with people, or maybe I'm just too passive. I don't know. Maybe I should be more engaged in such stuff. But let's move on. Something from David Conway. I have a random and probably stupid topic. What if you did like a hypothetical survival guide to a certain locality, a period in time? For example, how to survive the Carboniferous period. That, my friend, is a interesting idea. I would say we just do it inside this little podcast here. Something you would totally need at first is a gas mask, or better have something like an astronaut suit, because for one, the atmosphere was probably quite different, so it's not really known how the different gases would affect you. Also, a big problem that is often overseen also by shows such as Primeval is the problem of prehistoric microbes. What would they do to your immune system, to your health, or what would they do to others if you come back? Or what would your microbes, your viruses, and your fungi and whatnot all do to the ecosystems of the past? We don't really know. It could be genocide on both ends, and so it's probably the best idea to totally cut you off from the weird environment around you, so you don't have to so you will not be able to really engage with your surroundings, so no breathing of carboniferous air for you. You should be very, very well protected, I would say. Not especially from animals. The largest land animals were still it depends what part of the Carboniferous you want to visit, but even during the end of the Carboniferous, we have normally no very large land predators which could hurt you in a way, but it's good to have thick clothing, and as I said, it's maybe the best idea to have a astronaut suit, and yeah, you should also have a tool that's sharp and large to cut through lots of vegetation, because especially if you visit these coal forests, you might will notice that it's really hard to get somewhere when you constantly have to these ferns in your face, and calamites and so on, and all the dead wood, and yeah, it would be a pain probably. If you don't want to move over land, which could be a problem because swamps and all the vegetation and so on, yeah, you probably should have a boat. That's a good idea. And the only problem you could have is with some of the large fish. Actually, in the Carboniferous, there were some very large predatory fishes like Rhizodus, up to 7 meter long, more call him her, to maybe send a light signal into the sky with oxygen, and so you can fill it in tanks and don't have to carry around with you tons of breathable air from our time. Yes, that's it for now. Everything I came up with within a few minutes. Moving on to a question by the Dubstep Addict. What do you think about the newest generation of paleo artists? The newest and youngest? Yeah, I really don't mind. Some of the youngest or maybe unexperienced can sometimes be a little bit annoying. From my perspective, when they come with questions they could better ask, for example, into a group, where they get sometimes much better maybe answers than I could provide, or I'm just one human. I have very subjective opinions, and often I also can just link to better sources which are openly available. Google Scholar is your friend. Yeah, but it's really exciting actually to see how many young people in our lifetime begin to take paleo art on and to take it a little bit more serious than maybe during my childhood. Yeah, especially because even the youngest members of society now begin to be connected to the internet, and so can be part of the paleo community. That's not always a good thing. I notice sometimes that very young paleo artists may not be mature enough to really work with the tools that all yesterdays and others gave us. So I try to be accurate, but sometimes it's just going a little bit too crazy. Yeah, but that's just my opinion. It's good to experiment and so on, and I hope everyone out there that noticing stuff that's just a little too outworldly and is supposed to be a serious reconstruction will notice the age of the artists and maybe hint them towards a different direction. As it sounds bad when I say it this way. Maybe I will cut this out. Okay. In other news, So, and now we came to a topic I already hinted in the intro, and that's Patagotitan, the largest of all land-living creatures. The word Titan is already in the name. About the name, it sounds so, let's say, random, normal. I don't know. When I actually saw the name the morning the paper came out, and I actually totally didn't notice it. I saw the name and okay, going on, because there are now so many titanosaurs or other sauropods which have very similar names. There's Patagosaurus, there is Brasilotitan, and some others, and there are so many of these titanosaur genera which are based on fragmentary remains. It's becoming very hard to keep track, especially when it comes to phylogeny, because that's basically changing on a daily basis. That's about the name. And of course, something happened that was supposed to be happen. The media totally made it instantly the largest dinosaur ever, even without knowing the paper, actually. Or even the media outlets who knew the paper because they brought the story later, still just copied from the other guys who posted their stuff. Because how some people noticed, Patagotitan is actually not as large as you would expect from the largest titanosaur, the largest sauropod, the largest dinosaur of all time. By the way, I loved Jamie Haddon's comment on that. T-Rex is not an official measurement. You can't measure stuff in T-Rex. That's maybe a measurement to you can measure your ego in T-Rexes, but it's so typical of the media to relate everything to T-Rex, even though it's not even mentioned once in the paper. But moving on, as some guys noticed, some of these bones of Patagotitan, which is and that's a really good one. It's known from quite a few fossils, but some of these bones, the largest ones, aren't actually as large as those of Argentinosaurus, for example. Sometimes just a few centimeters, but still, and these bones are also often those who are important for weight bearing, so to keep the animal actually stable. And we have no complete skeletons from both genera, so it's probably that Patagotitan was just as large as Argentinosaurus, or was a little bit smaller. Yeah, there is that. And why should we actually bother? I ask you, why is it so interesting to have the largest animal of all time? I mean, for me it's totally boring, actually. It's it's the largest, whatever. For me, what's interesting is when it's so large, how it became so large, what were the evolutionary drivers behind these giant growths, or how it acted with these ecosystems, how if it was migrating, or what it ate, and if there were other similar sized sauropods, and how they interacted, and how the niches were structured so that they didn't ate the other's food. And yeah, that's the stuff that is interesting to me. You know, everything else is just these card games where you say, oh, Argentinosaurus 40 meters, and you are Patagotitan 31. I win, and it's totally pointless. Yeah, there's a similar example actually that was brought up recently in a conversation. Something similar happened to Spinosaurus, the new paper from from 2014, where they already had the skeleton and the exhibition basically rolling before even the paper was out, probably before the paper was through the review. It could have been more interesting, more scientific, probably, if they didn't already made this huge hype around Spinosaurus and Patagotitan. Yeah, you know, there's already a skeleton of this beast in New York, and it's a wonderful mount, I must say. But for example, the skull is something I find, even from a speculative point of view, rather unlikely to look like that. And already before it was published, to claim that the animal is larger than Argentinosaurus, it's something I wouldn't do. Yeah, these were my 2 cents on that one. We are nearly at the end of the podcast, and I would like to ask you in the end a little question, because there's something I'm working on for some time now, mostly in my head, because it will need to remain in my head for some time, probably before it can be realized. But I would like to give paleo art workshops. That's something I want to do for quite some time. Especially I like to teach and to work with children, for example, and I would like to introduce the next generation, or maybe also older people, to how we work as paleo artists, and how someone can adopt these methods, and how to critical look at paleo reconstructions and so on. But it's really hard to figure out how such a workshop could look like. I have some ideas already, and I put them together, but it's far from something I would work with. And so my question to you would be, what for you would... damn it, and at that point the recording broke. Okay, what I was going to say is, I would like to know from you, what do you expect? How do you would like to a paleo art workshop to be? What should be in it? What makes for you a paleo artwork workshop a good workshop? So, yeah. I think we are at the end. My list is empty. Please like, share, and comment down here or in any other social media. Please leave more questions or ideas for topics. That's always nice. Yeah. See you next time. At this point I wanted to add some evil laughing, but it turned out too creepy. Goodbye.